Hey guys, this is Iconic, and welcome to episode 1 of my build diary series for Torchlight Overrealm season, where I'm going to be keeping track of my changes and my progress with Moto 1 Grim Phantoms, just in case anybody's curious as to see how it's going, how it feels, and my general opinions on what I am running this league. And of course of the league as well. I'll be talking a bit about that. Alright, so where are we on the current setup, you might ask? We just ended up beating Traveler not long ago. Actually, I should be checking here. I ended up being the third Moto 1 to kill Traveler and of course I'm using Grim Phantoms. So far, I have a few pro builds in case anybody wants to follow along just how to level and stuff like that. Anyways, so for the setup, we are currently only running a few uniques and I think for the most part they're all relatively cheap. There's the Horn Ring, which is the most expensive one, that's like 23. There's Alloy Covenant, which was pretty cheap when I got it. There's the T1 Command, which was like 4 FE. False God Scaling Intelligence. I think right now we are sitting at, I think rough estimate is like 75 mil DPS. We could check real quick, but I think it's roughly there. I'm only going to let them hit. We're not going to be using the high energy beam attack, which is a very big damage ability. When I don't use it, I think it's going to be like 70 something mil, and then if I end up using it on cooldown, I'm probably going to end up being in the 80s, maybe 90s, thereabout in any case. So we have decent damage, nothing mind-blowing. And when I did Traveler, as you might be seeing on the screen, I did that with less DPS than I have here. Anyways, I'm going to go over my current setup. We're going to run a sample map, and yeah, that's the current plan anyways. So to briefly go over the state we are at with Grim Phantoms, we haven't switched to Spell Burst yet. We can't do that until we have our Wind Rhythm and cast speed setup going. So for now, we are still going into hybrid, high energy beam, and destructive light cannon scaling. So we're using isomorphic arms, which gives our minions our weapon, and we're using this weapon with a base of lightning damage to spells and some lightning damage to spells, and just scaling as much stats as we can. We opted for cast speed here because our minions end up double dipping by inheriting the weapon and getting this cast speed, but also being my minions, and because I'm wielding it, they also get this. So it's a very healthy amount of, like, a very nice double dip moment here. And we're just trying to scale as much crit as we can, just so our minions are critting for our belts as well as just for damage in general. We're going for a spirit ring, like I said, horn ring. I might go for a second one. I'm undecided, but odds are it's not priority. What I plan to get next is unique boots for dark gates, because I'm currently not running down my bar. I want to have a mind infusion there. I'm also considering, but I probably would not do this, but I'm also considering Fiend Crown helmet. Probably not going to go for that, and I'll probably just keep this rare. But that about covers gear. What's next? Let's check hero memories. Nothing insane going on here, just intelligence minion damage, max life minion damage, and movement speed, spell block. Just generic stuff. We're going veteran, tough as nails, and charge forward. And we are not even close to the point where we want to switch to go for broke, so we're just going to keep not sacrificing my minions' health. Talent tree. I'm going to create a build code for this my current character, so you don't have to worry about going through the tree. But the important things are, we are using God of Machines, running orders and isomorphic arms. We're going for machinist. Currently we are using boss to get to 5 max minions. Because we are running mechanical modifications, we don't have to actually get the 6th, so we get to skip out on maniacal army for more damage. But if we wanted to, we could use maniacal army here, then opt for burning aggression or rally even. Then we went for Lich as our third tree so that we could get as many auras as we could. We prioritized getting the all skill levels and getting sealed mana compensation so we could run our 3 auras. Now we pick up off the beaten tracks. If you don't know how this works, it makes it so all your support gems reduce the reservation of the gem they are supporting. So to really take advantage of all the beaten track, you need a lot of energy, so you can go 3, 3, and 3 for your auras that stay on your mana. Then we use swiftness on our life just so we can have a bit more movement speed. Other than that, we have Shadow Dancer here for brutality. This is going for a lot of damage. Go for +1. We do not touch this guy because we do lightning damage, not physical damage, so this is useless. However, because high energy beam, well, Grim Phantoms as a whole have base physical damage, everything here scales your Grim Phantoms, including brutality, which is 30% additional minion physical damage, and then that gets converted innately by Grim Phantoms to lightning. So that's kind of how that works. From an aura point of view, we are currently running electric conversion precise, so we have 40% additional lightning damage coming from there. We have precise weapon amp for paralysis and additional physical damage, which again scales the base damage from the Grim Phantoms, and paralysis is just increased damage taken on the enemy by 15%, which is a big damage multi. And then we have Radical Order, which is also very cheap. Additional minion damage and aggressiveness. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of the aggressiveness portion of this, but the additional minion damage is really nice to have. And then this. Then for these gems themselves, we're using Grim Phantoms, we're using Meshing Army as our Empower skill, Life Source as our healing skill, Blink as mobility, and then Electrocute as curse. This could also be swapped to Dark Gate. It's kind of, the difference is not the biggest. However, when you do eventually pick up a Mind Infusion, you want to 100% drop Dark Gate from there. Or if you pick up your Dark Gate Prism, which I do not currently have, and I haven't even price checked, so that's also something to consider. Slate wise, we just have random stuff. I haven't actually invested in anything here. This I actually dropped, so this is a pretty nice defensive layer I have, so I'll probably end up keeping this. For everything else, I bought the Pedigree, which just has burning aggression, and this goes for like 4 FE, and I found one with ailment, so my minions can end up applying numbed, which increases lightning damage enemies take, so it's nice to have. Burning aggression gives you command whenever you're on an elite, and if you take burning aggression here, then you don't want to take burning aggression in machinist. You want to go for either boss or rally, and vice versa, whatever. And then when you have a bigger budget, you might want to instead consider Mighty Guard. I haven't tested to see which is better. My first impressions would be that Mighty Guard is probably better, unless you needed the command expressly for something else, which as of this moment we do not have things that require command except like machinist, legendary node, like the only thing we have that really is looking at the command we have. We've avoided everything else that would require command basically, and we just want to take our time building up command until we can get to like 30 stable, and then we can start taking support gems and whatnot that require command. Then for my plans going forward, I'm still weighing my options, but I want to go spell burst as soon as I have the Rat Herder's belt. I do not believe that there is any on trade, so we have that we have to deal with. Essentially, we just have to wait until Mistveil farmers eventually populate the market with them, and we can start buying them. But until then, we're going to be using Craft Divinity or a rare belt. We could also consider Winter of Origin belt, but there's only one and it's 3k, so it's not worth it. I'm basically fine with Cry of Divinity until we get some movement on the Rat Herders front, which is going to be our best in slot belt essentially. And until we get that, and Wind Rhythm, I do not want to get the Transfigure gems for Grim Phantoms that focuses on the cannon, because the cooldown is just so bad initially that you would be trolling by relying on your destructive light cannon. But yeah, immediate game plan is just get as much damage as possible, and that includes like mind infusion. That includes potentially getting a fortress, I believe, endless fortress or something, and then trying to get them to be low life and have 100% uptime on overload. So that would be going for this guy to remove all restoration, and then going for even more duration to try to get this to 100% uptime. So we know they're not gonna die, and by making sure they don't die, then they can stay low life and really benefit from fortress, etc. That I think is going to be something I look into pursuing, because I think it'd be a lot of damage. But yeah, I think that about summarizes where my mind is at. My main goal right now is getting this guy to level 2 veteran, just to increase my overload uptime, which is just a very healthy damage boost essentially. Then for my thoughts on the league so far, I'm having a blast. I'm actually enjoying it. I'm not really enjoying the league mechanics reward system. I enjoy participating in the league mechanic, but so far to me, I don't know if it's just me, but like in tier 7 maps, I would run the league mechanic and basically come out with absolutely nothing, and it is such a bizarre feeling because of how long the league mechanic actually takes, and the fact that, you know, God of War doesn't actually apply like I said, or like I suspected. So that just means you end up clearing your map multiple times the slow way, and then you come out of the other end with absolutely nothing, and now you have to clear your map again. So I've just been ignoring it. I think I would give it another try in tier 8, but so far I'm not impressed on the loot system, and hopefully it gets buffed, or at least if this is a lower tier problem, then hopefully it gets buffed in lower tiers, and if this is just the way it is, then hopefully it just gets buffed. It needs help. It needs help. That about covers the setup and everything I want to talk about so far. I'm also going to be streaming on Twitch and YouTube, so if you want to follow the progress live, or you just have a question, you can always stop by. If you haven't already, do consider liking and subscribing, as it helps the channel out a lot. And with all that said, thank you for watching.